Hi there, this is Gauntlet with Gauntlet's Race Mod. Welcome to the third tutorial video on ship designing. Today we're going to be going over animation. Here is our fighter wing from our previous video. Looking good. But there's very still. And I get that it's space, but you probably want your ships to be a little bit more lively than just stoic and still framed copies. So, to get things moving, select your part, and you have an animation tab. You can rotate, you can move forward, and you can scale. So, scaling, for example, is not often useful, but when you need it, it's awesome. That, for example, makes no sense. I'm scaling up and down the middle main hull. Nothing else is, so that looks really dumb. But if you're making an organic ship, scaling components can work really well. Here is an organic ship. I don't know if you can tell because they're quite tiny, but the tiny tentacles on the back there, they're not just moving, they're growing. They are scaling in lengthwise, but not width or height. So that is pretty cool. All the components on this model scale a little bit generally, which really gives it the feel that it's breathing and alive. But even this one's still too still. You want the whole model to probably move up and down at least for fighters. So let's take the main hull. We're going to go to the up and down command. Going to go to Y for literally up and down. Speed of 1 is usually good. And then I like to oscillate anywhere between 6 and 12, I find is a good height range. There you go. That's now moving. Let's take this other one. We're now going to do Z. We're going to do back and forth. We're going to put it at speed of 1. And again, somewhere between about 6 and 12 is pretty good. Cool. Now let's take our last one. This one, we're going to do a rotate. I don't really want it to rotate like that now, do I? I want it to spin. Usually that's rotate on hard point is the issue there. There we go. Now he's spinning properly. Okay, now the next piece here. I don't necessarily want him to spin in a total circle. I want him to kind of go side to side. So I need to oscillate. And we're going to set this to about, say, 55. You'll quickly notice that he's not oscillating evenly at his current angle. He's going all the way down, and then he's coming back and straightening up. I really want him to go from one side to the next side, and then back. I want him to weave or wobble. So what I have found works is setting the oscillation to 20 or 25, but then I have to rotate the model. I go to Edit, Rotate. In this case, you want Z, and I find 10 degrees by an oscillation of 20 seems to be just right. And now he's nicely bobbing. Very nice. These are the 3 animations which I put all together to make a fighter really move. So now we'll go back. We'll take this guy. Let's move him up and down. Again, a speed of 1 is a nice subtle movement without being too crazy. Just to show you, big difference between 1 and 2. So 2 can sometimes be useful. I think 3 starts looking, yeah, I don't like it. I think it's just too bobby. And that's, of course, just silly. That poor pilot is probably dead from the G-forces, or lack thereof, I suppose, but he's still probably dead. Anyway, so then we have the Y. Now I'll add the Z. Put that at 8. Put that at 1. There you go. And that is how I animate my fighters. I pretty much use that same setup for all of them. Now he's basically starting up and going down. If you reverse the speed, he starts down and moves up. So between a few tweaks between all 3 of these, you can get a nice swarm of fighters all moving together. That can be really cool. So that's your basic animations. You've got 3 dimensions. You always have speed, you always have oscillate, scale, sliding, and rotate. It's really just a matter of being careful and trial and error to get things the way you want. So with that, let's take a look at a pretty advanced animation. This guy is a new drone I am working on. He's kind of a mining drone. I might use him in a transport to help move rocks in position to bombard someone from orbit. So let's get into him. So the rock is actually attached to the main model, which I don't often have two objects free floating and animated, but this one I did want to go together because he's carrying it. So if we go to his main part, he's doing a little bit of rotation. Yeah. He's rotating basically this way to give him that bobbing effect. That's rotate by X. Then he is also moving up and down. He's actually got a speed of 2. Slow that down so it's a little easier to work with him. By 8.7. That's pretty good. And that's all his main body is doing. The rock, which is attached, is doing up and down by 3, but very low amount. Only 0.8, so you don't really notice it. See, that doesn't look so good. But it's a rock in space, so I do want it to have subtle movement at all times. The Z, it's drifting forward a little bit. And it's also rotating on its axis a little bit. So the rock is nice and floaty. You've got a very simple radar dish just spinning there. That's a straight up rotation. You've got these wings. They are oscillating rotation. So pretty simple. The eyepiece, which is one of the cooler pieces. As you can see, it's going in and out and revealing more little lines. It's got that sort of, yeah, I don't know, just interesting robot eye look. So that is a simple piece. This is actually animating by scale. So that is a use of that. You can also get neat effects by not doing this proportionally. Right now, every dimension is scaling. I'm going to shut that off. I'm going to take X. I'm going to just up the speed on X by a bunch. Whoa! What is that eye doing? So now I've got this weird pattern going on. It's pretty cool, actually. Let's go to Y, and let's boost that too, but not as much. Getting some weird stuff going on. So yeah, that's how you can mess with eyes. It doesn't always look good, you know, but play around with it until you get what you want. Alright, finally the arms. Now, these two arms here, let's figure this out. Let's take this and push this forward. Alright, there we go. So there's that part. What's moving here is really just two pieces. First up, we got this central tube. That is simply a rotate. Under animation. There we go. It's just oscillating up and down a little bit, like it's just rolling. So that's easy. And then we have this claw-like piece. And then we have digits, these extra claws carefully placed, which are also just rotating but in a different angle, and they're oscillating a bit too. So there you go. Animated pieces attached to animated pieces is how you get super complicated patterns. You got to be careful with it, but it can look really, really good when you're done. So this guy's, you know, fairly complicated. He's got a good chunk of moving parts, but I hope you can see now that it really isn't too daunting to do. It really just means it takes practice, and it takes a lot of fiddling to get things to work the way you want. Some people have asked me if you can get carriers to launch their fighters and have those fighters land. That is problematic because you'll notice there's no pausing the animation. There's no way to tell these animations to start and stop. It's not like they're a chain where you can have animate straight forward, then animate up. then animate around, then animate down to land. There's none of that. So you can't really get that sort of effect. Everything works simultaneously and everything repeats. There's no timing controls. Who knows? Maybe we'll get that someday. So, all right. This concludes the animation tutorial. I hope you found this helpful. Please subscribe and comment if you have any constructive feedback. Thanks so much, guys.